Have you ever met someone who stays almost unnervingly calm when everything is falling apart? Bad news hits the group chat. Everyone spirals. They don't. A fight breaks out at dinner, voices rising, chairs scraping, that weird silence right before it gets ugly. They don't explode. They don't beg people to stop. They just step back and watch. And if you've never looked closely, you'd probably label them fast, cold, detached, emotionless, hard to approach. But that's the lazy explanation, because most of the time, that quietness isn't emptiness. It's protection. They don't panic, not because they feel nothing, but because they've faced worst-case scenarios so many times. Their body learned a different response. They don't live on pure instinct anymore. They analyze. They scan. They prepare. So if you've ever wondered why some people look calm in chaos, here are 8 signs they've been through more than they ever talk about. And yeah, there's a dark truth behind that calm. Sign 1. They notice pain before anyone else does. Not the "I'm such an empath" kind of empathy. I mean the kind that catches what most people miss. Picture a loud dinner, glasses clinking, someone telling a story too loudly, everyone laughing at the right moments. And you're sitting there smiling, nodding, doing the whole "I'm totally fine" performance. Most people will buy it. They'll keep talking. They'll keep eating. They'll scroll under the table. But someone who's been through real pain, they spot the crack. They notice the half-second delay before you answer. The way your eyes drop when someone says, "How have you been?" That tiny exhale you do when nobody's paying attention. And they don't make it weird. They lean in quietly and ask something simple. "Hey, are you actually okay?" They ask because they've been that person, the one sitting in a room full of people, screaming in silence. And nobody noticed, so they don't want anyone else to feel that abandoned. Their empathy wasn't taught to them. It was carved into them. Sign 2. They instinctively try to keep everyone calm. You know that person who always smooths things over? 2 friends start disagreeing. Then it turns into tension. Tension turns into sharp words. And suddenly, the whole room feels like it's holding its breath. Most people look away. They pretend they didn't hear it. They wait for it to blow over. But that one person steps in, not aggressively, not like the hero, more like someone trying to stop a fire before it spreads. "Hey, hold on. Let's take a breath. Can we not make this so intense? All right, new topic." And 10 minutes later, everyone's laughing again like nothing happened. It looks like they're just nice, but often it's deeper. For someone who grew up around chaos, conflict doesn't feel like conflict. It feels like danger. So their brain learns a rule. If everyone stays calm, I stay safe. They become the emotional sponge in every room, absorbing tension so other people can breathe. And here's the brutal part. They hold the umbrella for everyone else while getting soaked themselves. They're always the one asking, "Are you okay?" But rarely does anyone ask them the same question. And even if someone does, their automatic answer is, "It's fine. I'm good." Sign 3. Hypervigilance. This one shows up in small habits that people misread. Go to a restaurant with them. Watch where they sit. Most people pick a seat based on comfort. Window seat, booth, whatever. Someone who's been through too much, they choose based on exits. Back against the wall, eyes facing the entrance. They don't like sitting with their back to the main door. If they walk into a new room, their eyes sweep the space without them even noticing. Who's near the door? Where's the exit? What feels off? Even sound hits differently. A door slamming, fast footsteps, a voice suddenly getting louder. Their body reacts before their mind can explain it. Heartbeat up, shoulders tense, jaw tight. People on the outside say things like, "Relax, you're safe." But for someone who lived in unstable environments, safety doesn't feel permanent. Peace feels fragile, like it could break at any second. So their nervous system stays on duty, even when it doesn't have to. Sign 4. They struggle to fully trust anyone. You can be consistent. You can be loyal. You can genuinely care. And still, you might feel a wall. Not because they don't love you, not because they think they're better than you, because they learned the hard way that the people closest to you can also be the ones who hurt you the most. So they don't open the deepest doors. They won't admit their real fears. They won't show the parts they're ashamed of. They won't let you see them fall apart. And if you push too hard, they don't always get angry. Sometimes they just get distant, because distance is safer than regret. For them, trust isn't a free gift. It's something you earn slowly through actions over time. Sign 5, overthinking. Not because they enjoy thinking, because they hate being caught off guard. They analyze texts. Why didn't they use an emoji today? Why was their reply shorter than usual? Did I do something? They analyze meetings. Why did my boss look at me like that? Was that disappointment? Is something coming? They don't imagine one scenario. They build the whole disaster tree. And here's the logic that runs underneath it. If I expect disappointment, it can't destroy me. Overthinking becomes a way to control chaos. But the price is brutal. Mental exhaustion, always feeling on, never fully resting. And when you live like that, you start craving something specific. Sign 6. They crave stability more than anything else. Not excitement, not new energy, not adventure, peace. Routine feels like oxygen to them. Waking up at the same time, the same coffee, the same quiet corner of the same cafe, a home that's tidy, a schedule that makes sense. To someone who hasn't lived through storms, that sounds boring. To someone who has, boring is paradise, because nothing happened today isn't meaningless. It's a win. A normal day is a lucky day. Sign 7. They genuinely enjoy being alone. And no, this isn't I hate people. It's not automatically depression. It's recovery. Think of it like this. Their mind is running background processes all day, scanning, predicting, managing emotions, reading people, keeping the peace. That drains you. So being alone is when those processes finally slow down. Alone time is the only place they don't have to perform. They don't have to read anyone's face. They don't have to keep the mood light. They don't have to be fine. They can sit in a dark room with music low. They can walk alone without talking. They can read for hours and feel their body loosen. For them, solitude isn't loneliness. It's safety. Sign 8, extreme independence. These are the people who almost never ask for help. They handle problems quietly. They carry heavy things alone, literally and emotionally. They'll struggle in silence before they risk being a burden. Even when you offer help, they say, "It's okay, I can handle it." And it sounds strong. It looks impressive, but it usually comes from a bitter lesson. Depending on people can be dangerous. Maybe they were rejected when they asked for help. Maybe they were humiliated. Maybe asking came with a price. Maybe someone used their vulnerability against them. So they decided the only person they could fully rely on was themselves. That independence becomes armor. And sometimes it becomes a prison. Because carrying everything alone also means you're alone when it gets heavy. Now, here's the dark truth behind all of this. That calm you see, that I'm fine vibe, it's not always strength. Sometimes it's a nervous system refusing to be shocked ever again. Sometimes it's what happens when you're forced to grow up too early, forced to adapt, forced to survive. So they don't look emotional, not because nothing hurts, but because showing emotion once wasn't safe. They're not empty, they're protected. And there's usually a hidden cost, a quiet sadness. They can laugh, they can function, they can even look successful. But when they're not performing, when they're distracted, their eyes tell a different story. A thin fog, a tiredness, the exhaustion of someone who's walked a long road without rest. The deepest sadness is often the quietest. Now, real value moment. If you recognize these signs in someone you care about, here's what actually helps. 1. Don't force vulnerability. Instead of "tell me everything," try "I'm here whenever you feel like talking." 2. Be consistent in small ways. People with a trust wall don't respond to big promises. They respond to patterns. 3. Don't shame their coping style. If they need space, don't call it cold. Call it recovery. And if you see yourself in this video, listen, you don't have to tough it out alone forever. Start small. One safe person, one small ask. That's how the wall comes down, brick by brick. And I don't want this to end in darkness, because something else can happen too. Some people don't get destroyed by what they went through. They get forged. They turn pain into wisdom. They learn boundaries. They learn what matters. They learn how to survive and eventually how to live again. Not because it was fair, but because they had no other choice. Pain didn't break them. It shaped them. So, quick question. Which sign hit you the hardest? Was it the emotional radar, the peacekeeping, the hypervigilance, the trust wall, the overthinking, the need for stability, the love of solitude, or the extreme independence? Comment the number from 1 to 8. And if you want the next video in this series about why some people stay private, stay quiet, and don't share their life online, check the playlist. We don't just scroll through lives. We decode minds.